Welcome back to Project Tug. Got a bit of a strange episode for you this week. Lots of odds and sods, none of them really connected by any sort of theme. Just I need to get a lot of different bits done before I can progress along with the build. There's a hell of a lot of a hold up caused by the boating cabin. I need to put two figures in there, light it, and then I'll be able to glue it on. But until I've glued that on, I can't do anything with the front. I can't do anything with the forward housing and other bits and pieces. So what I'm going to do this episode is do a lot of the little bits and pieces that I can do while I'm waiting for the postman again. Anyway, let's get on with it. Right then, first thing I'm going to do, I've got some more smaller portholes and they need to go in the back hatches. So I'm just going to drill some holes and fit them just like all the other portholes. Little daub of exo epoxy from the inside. I'm going to do this off camera because the camera's getting in the way and I really don't want to mess this bit up. And now after a nerve-wracking 10 minutes, I think I've got the holes where I need them. It was absolutely horrible. Knowing one little slip up means I'm going to have to make more of them blooming hatches and hingings. Right, and I'm going to get some extra epoxy on them and get them out of the way. And now with the extra portholes added, it's time to start going around adding the infrastructure for the lighting. All I'm going to use is paper clips glued where I want the lights to be. This is so that if in future anything should break, I can just slide them out of the paper clips. The trunking is going to be glued in permanently, but as long as I can get individual LEDs out without having to tear apart the whole ship, that's what I'm mainly concerned by. So just going to glue these down with a bit of epoxy. I'm going to have to leave these to dry for a few hours. So, I'm going to have one light in there and another light. If I can get the epoxy off the thing. Down in there. It's nothing amazing. I'm not claiming to be some amazing electrician, but it seems to make sense as a way to go about it. All the paper clips are drying in place and I've mixed a little bit too much epoxy resin. I'm going to glue on the fenders. These are just 25mm pre-bought rubber tyres with a little bit of cotton going through. All I'm going to do is, like on this one here, little dab of epoxy resin and then hold it on with a peg while it dries. This one's stayed on its own accord apparently, so yeah, doesn't need a peg. It's a good tyre, it's being cooperative. So yeah, I'm going to crack on and do that and then leave everything to dry. It doesn't make sense to mix up two batches of epoxy when I've made enough to do both. So I'll be right back. Now while all that's been drying, I've been cracking on with the tunnel. This is what I've came up with. This is more of a how I've done it rather than showing you how I've done it, but it's simply a can of hairspray, spray until all the pressure's gone out of it and you'll be able to sort of grip the can and squeeze it, shows that the pressure's gone. Then I simply opened it with a can opener. Now this is the one I didn't use. As you can see, I made a bit of a mess with it. Used a side opening can opener. I should have used a top opening can opener, but got it open in the end and it's the perfect size for a funnel. Once I've done that, simply cut a hole in the top of a mustard jar lid and glued the whole thing together. And to quote Blue Peter, here's one we made earlier. So that's gonna go, if we can line it up there on the top, and looks rather smart. The two bits on either side, they're just bamboo skewers, and the whistle, if it will focus, is just a small piece of piping with a notch cut out of it, and you can see the bamboo stick running up through the back. I need to add a bit more black to that. But yeah, that's the funnel. Nothing fancy, nothing particularly scale, but it does the job and looks the part. On the real ships, this raised collar is a little bit further up, but it would make it awkward to glue on. I'd rather lose a bit of scale and go with a bit more durability. And as you can see, the hole's already been drilled, ready for the smoke unit. So yeah, that's another bit what I've been working on. As well as the funnel, I've also been working on a life raft. Not sure if this will end up going on it in the end. I've literally been watching glue dry for hours, and I've got tons and tons of 1/16 strip wood, and I wondered if I could actually just make one how they were supposed to be made. I'm not quite sure this is right, but all it is a couple of pieces of balsa wood in there and a former, and I've just bent the wood around the sides of that. Looks alright. What I'm going to have to do is get some wood filler on it. There's a lot of little gaps, and then it's probably going to end up getting sanded back down and painted black, so it's going to be a shame we won't get to see half of the wood in there anyway. So yeah, just the little bits and pieces I've been working on the side. As you can see, the fenders are all on there as well. They're all drying away, but there's really not much I can do until all the glue's dried. This episode might take a couple of days to film. Still, while all that's drying, I've cracked on with the ship's flag. Really nothing to show on this one. It's just a bamboo skewer with a little bit of string tied through the flag, and yeah, a hole drilled in the top for where that's going to go behind the back of the funnel. If I can get my hand to find the hole in there. So nothing major, but I'm just plodding on doing little bits whilst waiting to do all the electrics. While that's all still drying, I've been focusing on the navigation light brackets. Just a few thin pieces of balsa glued together into the shape. Got the LED for this side just down there, and the little lantern housing there. Tiny things, really blooming fiddly to do. And what I'm going to do is paint all this up red, and the lantern light as well, and then get that ready to glue onto the side of the cabin. As I had the paints out already, I've also gone around and painted the lifeboats. I also painted the navigation light housings in their respective colours, and give the anchor a quick lick of paint. All that was is a quick dry brush of silver, and while the paint was still a bit wet, I went over it with a little bit of orange mixed with a little bit of brown, just to give it that rusted over look. I quite like how it's turned out, but I think it might need a bit of a brighter orange going over just to give it some highlights. Anyway, while the navigation light brackets are drying and I'm looking for the right size drill bit to install the bulbs, I'm going to glue the lifeboats on. And that's the navigation lights fitted. Put the port and starboard one on. If it focuses, it doesn't seem to want to focus. Just drilled a hole and fed the cable through. Now on the inside you can see how I'm going to go about doing the electrics. There's a lot in there, so it's not really sure what to focus on. You can see the paper clip to hold the light in, and then the little bits of plastic tube just to act as trunking and stop all the wires from being a mess. Now I think what I'm going to do is give the navigation lights another coat of paint, tidy up a few of these wires and put some bits of paper on so I don't forget what they are, and call it that for an episode today, and I'll get it all together and show you what I've come up with. And I think next episode I'll be in a good place to start on doing all the electrics. Anyway, see you in a mo. And that's it with all the odds and sods fitted. It's really starting to look like a model now, not just something that's half built in a shipyard. A lot of the pieces are placed on at the moment. We've got the anchor down on the deck. We've got the anchor winch at the front. I've built the forward mast, but that's just going to be a placeholder, as I've got some aluminium tube so I can actually rig up the navigation lights on that. The navigation lights are on the wheelhouse. We've got the lifeboats down the side and all the portholes there. I think next week's episode I'm going to try and get these lights working as a minimum and rebuild the front mast. And then after that, other than a few touch-ups here and there and weathering, it's all about ballasting it and fitting the main electronics and motor. And then we can start thinking about getting her onto the water. Anyway, as always, thank you for watching, and until next time, have a good one.